Hello and welcome back, ladies and gents. Just waiting for the players to load in here. We're on the champion loading screen. As you can see, just Broto and Kikis remaining. Met is joined by Pulse, and this is game number 1 between TSM and GameHoppers. Should be a really interesting game, if nothing else. I think we're both agreeing here that TSM are probably going to take the game, Pulse, but neither of us expect this to be a complete stomp.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree with that. It's definitely going to be a case of GameHoppers being the underdogs in this game, but that's not saying they're down and out. We could definitely see them give TSM a run for their money, if not potentially take the game. But TSM are in top form at the moment. As you said, they've been practicing all the time. They are looking to try and be the best right now.
Yeah, I have been watching a bit of Reggie's stream, and he mentioned that now that they're back together, they're trying to practice an awful lot together. So I also know that he's been playing a lot of TF. So let's see if it's worked out for him. I spoke to Broto a couple of days ago when I knew that Champion Base was going to be kicking off the Elite of Europe, and yesterday he mentioned to me the one team we didn't want to face in the first round was TSM. So I think he also feels that they're underdogs here. But sometimes that's not necessarily a bad thing, Pulse, because then the pressure is off you. You don't expect to win. So you kind of free up, there's no anxiety, there's no nervousness there, and some people just play better in these kind of circumstances.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, and a lot of it's down to just being psychological about it, and you just can't say you're down and out until you've actually lost, because if you say that, then it's going to happen, because you think you're going to lose, and you are going to lose, because you're going to play worse, you're not going to make those timing calls you would against a different team, and, ooh, they are actually going for the invade, but he should be safe. Won't be able to get that stun card off, I don't think.
Oh, he's flashed in and gets the stun card down and the ignite as well, but instantly Valkyrieing away, so took Valkyrie level 1. They are going to go for the tower dive here. Dairo's taking a lot of damage, but they will pick it up. Twisted Fate will get executed, which is no big deal, I guess, original, because no one gets accredited with that gold or with that kill. So, in that sense, it worked out well for them. They got the first kill.
That being said, Morgana has gone all the way through, halfway through level 1, because of the experience, because she was near that death, so it was, obviously it's not a kill, but it's, you know, it's something, it's a bit of compensation, but tower dive, level 1, that's kind of insane.
Yeah, it kind of is, but Reginald got the first kill, and interestingly enough, he actually started off with the Fairy Charm. So, he's going to go for the mana regen here. Maybe going to be going the gold P10 route that we saw Ocelot doing on Gragas, you mentioned that earlier, and trying to go that way. Either way, all will be revealed as time ticks on. So Reggie has somewhat of an advantage, but as he said, Morgana got half a level of XP there and has already gone to 2. So Reggie is half a level behind as it stands right now.
Yeah, I think that'll kind of even up, and the massive advantage that might have been given is kind of alleviated ever so slightly. At bottom, they have a lot of poke, from both sides actually, because Janna puts shield on, that's a lot of damage right up. Top, Jax should have the first couple of levels, and then Irelia will be kind of equal, but Jax is, of course, Jax, and when he reaches that stage where he just gets so much farm, or just farms his way to victory, or gets a couple kills, then he's going to become ridiculous. So Irelia needs to watch out for that one, especially as it looks like Odd One looking for a gank.
Odd One is indeed looking for a gank, but there is a ward down in the bush, and a ping on top of that, so they know exactly what Odd One is planning on doing, and Kikis is going to play fairly passive, doesn't want to go past this mark right now. These creeps is now seeing Renegade, I should say, Odd One pulling himself back towards Tribush, and therefore is going to be a bit more aggressive once again. So let's have a look. Is Broto going to try any early action? Ezreal is going down to low health, flashing up red. Nice Howling Gill use from X Special. So Chaos is not going to fall just yet, chugging through his health pots. He's gone through 2 actually, so he has none left. And Corki with still 1, and also a Sona. So, going to be looking good for a while for the Sona Corki bot lane.
It was good of Irelia basically not to completely freak out when Shyvana was there. He made it look like he didn't know any wiser, he was just farming usually. He wasn't going really aggressive, going for the back minions, but that's to be expected against the Jax anyway. To the point where Shyvana wasted an extra bit of time. And those couple seconds could be quite valuable. We talked about in some of the other games we've seen today, where Svenskeren was always a couple seconds behind Maokai. And that's basically down to that. Now Shyvana's like a couple seconds behind, and that kind of small shift might be all that they need to avert a gank, or avert like a free man invade.
Very true. It's a couple of seconds we saw earlier. It was Dedrian, wasn't it? It was
Yeah.
Svenskeren against Dedrian, and he always seemed to be a couple paces behind. So let's see if Odd One is going to be in the same position here. Now going to be pushing into the opposite jungle. We saw Diamond Prox doing very similar kind of movements on Shyvana earlier on against Team Ace of Poland. Shyvana coming all the way around the back. Has not been spotted by Ward. There, it's been spotted now. Is there going to be enough time, though, for Corki and Sono to make a getaway? Here comes the Flash and the Valkyrie as well. Exhaust has been popped down onto Corki. Now going to be switching targets towards Sono. Sono's also going to flash away. And in amongst all that, we see the second blood, I should say, going down onto Reggie. So Nocturne alongside Morgana will chime together and pick up that kill.
Very early on, Nocturne doesn't have the greatest of ganks, but definitely he can gank if someone's out of position, and that was demonstrated right there. He's going to get level 6 a bit early because of that, and that's really nice because his level 6 ganks are really strong. Looks like he might be looking for a gank onto Jax. Very clever. He's going to the side, not to the back, so he can't jump to him. And the minion wave is coming. Broto looking for this gank, looking for the equilibrium, might be backing off.
And here comes Broto with unspeakable horror. Dyrus will actually leap strike and flash away. So basically a double flash there, making sure he didn't get that fear procced off onto him. In the meantime, Ezreal did go dangerously low health, so went back to spawn. Chaos is going to build up 2 Doran's Blades. I was expecting to see a gold per 10. That's exactly what Reggie's done. He's gone for the Philosopher's Stone, went for the Fairy Charm straight off after First Blood, and has converted that into his first gold per 10 item. So maybe we're going to see a very similar build to what Gragas brought to the table with Ocelot earlier.
It's very interesting, and perhaps they're looking for the late game team and trying to stall this as long as possible, because a very early goal per 5 kind of suggests that, it implies it. So interesting. Jack scales well. Ezreal depends how he builds, but he's gone double Durant, hasn't even gone anything that shows that he might be going Trinity Force. So yeah, they might actually be stalling this one. Interesting, very interesting.
Well, you have to feel the next 5 to 10 minutes will tell the tale here of what TSM are planning on doing. So let's have a quick look at some of the early warning signals on creep score. Chaos on 36, Corki on 40, very similar. Top lane, Jax is currently finding himself on 48, and Irelia on 34. So Dyrus is definitely having the upper hand at top lane as it stands. Both players are level 6, Kikis has just dinged 6, and Dyrus is on his way to 7, so he's going to have an advantage there. Coming in with the counter strike, lots of damage being put down onto Kikis, but the Equilibrium strike will come in as well. Here comes Twisted Fate, an ultimate down towards the bot lane, trying to tower dive once again, will pick it up. Chaos takes down Sona, and that nice play once again. How many times we talked about these global ultimates, Pulse, and they're so useful in team fights, especially in these kind of ganking situations early game.
Yeah, and it's also the high mobility because they have Shyvana, they have Tailwind from Janna as well. It's just massive mobility all over the place, and that allows them just to mobilize really fast. And I keep forgetting because Renegade, and that's actually Odd One. Odd One's on his way bottom as well. They had Burnout on, which he was moving incredibly quickly towards bottom, so they only needed 3 people, but it was almost a 4 versus 2 if they needed it. So either way, they were definitely going to pick up that kill. So yeah, they're really looking strong right now, and it would make a lot of sense to stall if they're going to be in sort of stalemate where it's very even. But if they start pulling ahead, then obviously they can be more aggressive. But if you look at GameHoppers' comp, they're stronger in team fights basically. Their mid game is probably slightly better, so that's why they want to kind of forego the mid game and go straight to late game. And yeah, it makes a lot of sense because they're strong mid game, they're strong early game, and then strong late game. So if they bypass the mid game, then they're good to go. But if they have an exceptionally good early game, then they can transition better into mid game, and they don't have to go as heavily into those goal per 5s. But Twisted Face has picked up a second one.
He has. He's really going for the Ocelot, taking a leaf out the Ocelot textbook here. Double gold per 10 items on Twisted Fate. Also got one coming up for Janna. And in the meantime, on the opposite side, we're going to have no gold per 10s. You're going to have Nocturne with Madrid's Razor that he's brought up early. Lots of Doran's Blades as well. Again, Dyrus and Kikis are going to bump heads at top lane. Equilibrium Strike was used just to slow him down somewhat. But again, you have to say that the farm is looking pretty comfortable right now for Jax. He's 65 to 53. He's ahead on XP. On top of that, you're going to have an engage coming in towards the races. Nocturne will go on towards Twisted Fate. And Shyvana being forced to pop off the ultimate in the meantime at top. Just as I switched away from that action, Jax is going to jump on top of Irelia and pick that one up. So 2-3 and a 1.4k gold difference. Irelia complaining somewhat about lag. Now Dyrus and Broto are going to come head to head for the unspeakable horror. Won't be procking off just yet. Barry's going to take a couple hits from the tower. I'm not really going to discourage him too much. He's very tanky at the moment. But yeah, just action, mid and top right next to each other.
Jax is kind of getting scary right now. He's got perfect farm. He's about 20 CS behind the minute, which is exactly where he's supposed to be. That's essentially perfect farm. And he's got a kill and an assist. So Jax is really strong right now. He can definitely outtrade Irelia, who is 53 CS to 73. 20 CS difference. That's more than 3 waves. And that's a lot of gold. That's just over 2 kills ahead, and that's kind of crazy. So when it gets to team fights, they're actually going to be really strong, and they're scared of it basically because it looks like they're trying to go for that sort of late game build where they have all these gold pretends coming out, but then again, they're having a good early game, so they might as well start forcing those team fights when they're stronger. But then again, they have to be careful because they have great initiation with Nocturne and great follow-up with Brock carry, and of course we have hooked on Morgana.
Yeah, Dyrus now 2 levels ahead of Irelia. Kikis is going to ding to 8 fairly soon. Dyrus is about halfway through 9, so he is really having a good time at top as it stands. Broto going to be coming towards top lane, has been spotted from a ward, so therefore will be pushing himself back. Does have an Oracles, so I'm going to clear that ward out just for now. And important to note that Shyvana, Odd One, has snaked his way towards top lane in the bushes. Could be coming around the side. There was a ward down. We are going to have some action at bot lane amongst all that. Destiny was popped off, and a kill from Ezreal on towards Sona, looking for that second onto Corki as well. But Corki's going to be able to pull himself back to the tower. And again, this global presence from Twisted Fate just so strong. Going to have a dive at top lane as well. Dragon's Descent does come in from Odd One, tanking that tower. In the meantime, Dyrus is going to try and finish off Kikis, taking so much damage though from the tower. It's going to be a kill, in fact, to Kikis on towards Odd One. That gank really backfiring there, and that kind of failed, to be honest.
Yeah, Kickers played that perfectly, and then he punished them extremely hard. And that's kind of the thing with Irelia. Like, Irelia can just equilibrium someone as a tower, and that's a lot of CC. That's 2 seconds of stun. That's massive. And a lot of people seem to make this mistake, thinking that Irelia is behind, but it's just her base and her utility that the skills bring, which allows her to bring herself back into it. And basically, just there, they just gave Irelia a free kill. So Kickers is going to be very happy about that one. And he's not quite at the same league as Jax just yet, but it's one step on the pedestal.
But he has red buff, which is going to be huge. You do have Counter-Strike coming off from Dyrus. Irelia going to be jumping back in once again, and doing enough just to push Dyrus out of the lane. So Irelia, slowly but surely, is catching his way up, taking down this farm. Let's have a look towards bottom lane. Just saw a couple pings there from blue team, which of course is going to be GameHoppers. Shyvana putting down the ward. Has been spotted from ward though in river. So fairly, we've had kind of sporadic kills. Not a great deal has happened in this game. It's been really down to the farming phase. Bot lane has had a couple kills thrown in. You do have Chaos on 2-0-1, so he's looking strong. But both of those kills have came at the hands of Twisted Fate, of Reginald, ganking down with his Destiny. So not a great deal to write home about. And GameHoppers, they're still in contention. Yes, the 1.3k behind after 13 minutes, but still well and truly anybody's game. Having said that, Morgana with a needlessly large rod is going to be scary.
Yeah, looking perhaps for the Zhonya's first item, which kind of makes sense against an X Special, who is of course on Janna. Looks like the Hextech Gunblade going to be on Dyrus, which makes a lot of sense. Definitely Akali players are starting to take that first instead of a Rylai's, because they need to make up for the damage. Actually, Odd One could be caught here.
Uh-oh, he is going to get caught a bit slow on the Dark Binding from Morgana. Just didn't seem to come out there. I was a bit surprised. I was expecting the Dark Binding to go out first. At top lane, we're going to have Irelia getting pushed back once again from Dyrus, who went back to spawn, picked up his Bilgewater Cutlass and a couple Doran's Blades. Twisted Fate comes down, does once again get a successful gank. He's been all over the map thus far. 2-3-2, but really putting his work in for the rest of his team. And that's going to give Dyrus just a little bit more breathing space at top lane. So Irelia, 1-2, does have a Phage and also a Sapphire Crystal, so as you'd expect Irelia to do, probably going to be building towards Trinity Force fairly soon. We're going to have some more action on middle lane. Odd One will be going down from Morgana, that needlessly large rod doing so much damage. and Shyvana simply could not stand toe-to-toe with him.
That was hilarious because they got away from that first gank, but then he just got killed by Hawkdon anyway, so, you know, it worked out, I suppose, and that was a blue donate, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So they were trying to contest blue, and in an odd way, Hawkdon finally managed to get that blue after all, so it worked out. And
I just realised I was 3 seconds behind the stream. Herpa-derpa-derp. So I've just gone back to live. I apologise if I was slightly behind there, guys. Crescendo has came in there from Sona and the Paranoia instantly afterwards from Broto on towards Chaos, but there in a nutshell is why Janet is such a strong support, instantly pushing them back with Monsoon, and that gank was stopped before it even really begun. So Paranoia has been popped. Meantime at top lane, you're going to have Dyrus jumping onto Kikis once again. These two just seem to be battling each other every single time I look towards the top. Transcendent Blaze was used from Irelia, alongside a lot of Empower from Dyrus. And Dyrus is definitely coming out on top in that exchange. We are going to have a gank at top lane. Here comes both Twisted Fate and Morgana alongside Shyvana. Twisted Fate's going to go down very quickly. Irelia 2 from Jax. Can they pick up the second? On towards Morgana. She's taking a lot of damage. There we go. Double kill for Dyrus. And he's going to be 3-0-2 with over 1,100 gold in his back pocket. So that Hextech Gunblade that he's building towards could be his very, very shortly indeed. And this early on in the game is going to be real terror for GameHoppers.
One of the issues right there is Hawkdon's ultimate literally came up as he died, and that might have been all he needed to actually stop himself from dying and maybe picking up a kill as well. That he do have a lot of sustain right now. Dyrus does have that Buzzword's Cutlass and the double Darrens, which is a lot of sustain in itself. Both junglers meanwhile mid. Dyrus is kind of counter jungling farm behind that turret as well, and maybe looking for a gank onto Broso mid as well.
Yeah, they are definitely going for this gank. Here comes Dyrus. The crowd has been popped, but how long will that keep him alive? The tower dive in effect there. But Broto will manage to escape, popping his flash in the process. So someone has been burnt. And Dyrus is going to continue to farm mid. Twisted Fate looks more preoccupied, going to be popping ultimate in, coming down here. Sona's just been completely destroyed. Will Corki follow suit as well? Reginald has to pull back slightly. He's going to come back in and will pick up the kill. The double at bot lane. And nobody falls victim for TSM. 9-5. Twisted Fate has been ganking all day long. It's been incredible how often he's been at that bot lane. And now, Irelia slightly out of position. Is in no man's land, and she has a Dyrus with double buff, chasing quickly after behind with Ninja Tabby boots. This is going to be dangerous right now for Kikis. I'm not too sure if he can escape from this one. He doesn't have flash off cooldown, and he is going to be going down very, very comfortably from Dyrus, only taking 2 or 3 bars off Dyrus's health bar. So 4-0-2 on Jax with 2,000 gold to spend. Ouch.
Yeah, that is starting to hurt, and now Jax is at that stage where he can duel anyone on the map. Anyone. He can maybe go 1 versus 2 if it's the right matchup as well. They've actually, TSM left Drake open, they didn't go for him. Maybe they're waiting to try and leave that one open for a potential team fight, because they know they can probably win at this stage. And basically, GameHoppers' main strength at the moment is that they have a pretty good team fight. They have good initiation, they've got a pretty solid team fight overall. However, TSM are probably stronger right now because they've gotten those kills, they've gotten those ganks from Twisted Fate, who's done a great job with it. Every time that Destiny's been up, it's just boom, there's a gank instantly, just picking the right position. So yeah, this could be actually a pretty heavy bait, because if they win the next team fight, they're going to be snowballing so hard, it's going to be nigh impossible for team hoppers to try and catch up to it. I combine the names, it's fine.
Team Hoppers. I can understand why he went there, but I think another reason, you know, Twisted Fate went gold pretend. I think he realised that as long as he got his cards down, as long as he hit his gold cards, he didn't really need a great deal of ability power. It would be enough to set up the kills for his AD and support. So therefore, he's getting gold indirectly, and now he's got the needlessly large rod. You are going to have Shyvana finishing off the Drake, now pushing on towards Corki. Destiny has been used as well. Here comes Twisted Fate, beautiful True Shot Barrage in conjunction with the gold card, and Ezreal goes on a rampage. Chaos 4-0-2 has Sheen, has Phage, and about, let's have a quick look, 1,350 gold. On top of that, Jack still hasn't gone back and bought up, so he's on 3,000 gold now. And it's just getting scarier and scarier and scarier. Already 7.8k gold lead to TSM after just 19 minutes.
And there you go. They were forcing that Drake, so they knew that they'd be around the area. 4 people from GameHoppers around that vicinity, and then they just turned on them. Basically, it was just ultimate goes down by Reginald picks one off. If they couldn't get a team fight, by God, we're going to get a kill. And there we go. They have so much mobility, and it's just impossible to really do anything about it. GameHoppers need to literally be about 10 seconds ahead of them to actually compensate for high mobility, because even if they're in the same position 10 seconds faster than them, then they're just going to turn up anyway because they're so fast. So it's a bad situation with GameHoppers, and mobility teams inherently are very snowbally, because when you get ahead, you're going to stay ahead because you're always going to be in the better position. Your position is going to be better, you're always going to be in the right place at the right time, and because you're usually like 5 seconds in front of them, because you're a mobility team, you're pretty much add another 5 seconds onto that as well. It's very snowbally in that respect.
Oh god, Kikis, don't do it, don't do it. You've walked into the bush of death. Does manage to get off the equilibrium strike, but there is no tower. It doesn't seem that Dyrus is too bothered though. He's going to go for the farm instead. It seems like some kind of a game with Dyrus. How much gold can he get before he has to go back to spawn? 3.5k now. After that wave, it's going to be like 3.6, 3.7k. And he is just going to be super, super strong when he finally decides to go back. Babylon's death cap has been finished off onto Twisted Fate, so those gold per 10 items really paying for themselves. 8.3k gold to Morgana's 6.9, and she's been involved in 4 kills. So again, shows how important Twisted Fate's contribution has been thus far in this game. And it's just really scary when you're playing against Twisted Fate, because a lot of those kills at bot lane, in fact, hold that thought because Chaos is out of position, this could be his first death. Paranoia has been popped onto Chaos. He's way, way in no man's land without any hope whatsoever. He's going to have to fight his way out of this one, and as you can see, he's not able to do that. In amongst all that as well, Morgana managed to claim the kill onto Twisted Fate, so 2 kills back to back for GameHoppers. Maybe the lifeline they so desperately require, but as I was going to say before, Twisted Fate, it seems to me that the bot lane for GameHoppers have been the punch bag. You know, you've got Sona on 0 for 4, Corki 0 for 2, and a lot of those ganks that Twisted Fate was throwing in were under the tower. They couldn't even go back to the Sanctuary of the tower. They were just getting towered over from Twisted Fate, Ezreal, and also on top of that Janna. There's nothing they could have done.
Yeah, it's just huge pressure, and they're just all over GameHoppers right now. When they get ahead, they're going to stay ahead, like I was saying before, and right now, Jax just instantly bought a Triforce. Nice. Yeah, so that's what he was doing. And it makes sense, because when someone's dueling you and then goes back and buys big items right out, that's a huge increase in damage, and meanwhile at top, he's actually showing him the damage of it. Kicker's just forced to flash out, and it throws your opponent off because you don't know how much damage he's going to deal, and 4k in items, the itemization is massive. And it really is, it just throws your opponent off because you can't judge the damage, and that's how players know how they're going to go for trades, or when they're going to go for trade. It's like, okay, he will deal this much damage to me and I'll deal this much damage to him, and they have to weigh that up in a split second. But if they've just itemized completely differently from last time you've seen them, it's very difficult to calculate it, and that's exactly what you saw there. Irelia being completely ripped apart from Jax in a situation where he was losing, but he wasn't losing that hard.
Yeah, and I mean, Trinity Force at this stage of the game with Bilgewater Cutlass as well is just brutal. I was kind of wincing there as I saw Kikis just getting pummeled from Jax, and also important to note, we have 2 Trinity Forces on the battlefield for TSM because Chaos has just finished his off as well, which is normally an indication this early in the game that Ezreal is feeling very, very confident about his gaming, and he doesn't have any problems whatsoever against that Corki. Oh god, Irelia is in a really difficult situation. She's got slow, she's going to get counter-struck as well from Jax, and here comes Shyvana around the backside. The exhaust comes down, it's only a matter of time before Kickers gets dropped, and Dyrus goes unstoppable, 5 for 0. And the woes for Kikis continue, 2 for 5. At one stage it looked like Kikis had a shot at top lane, but since then it's just kind of spiraled out of control in Dyrus' favour.
Yeah, and it's just not looking good, is it? Everyone's so far ahead, and sometimes the way you itemize is also a demoralizing effect in itself, because saying, or rather getting that Triforce this early is like saying, okay, so I'm really confident in how I'm going to perform, and therefore we're going to do really well in mid-game, and that's basically what it signifies. If he had gone for an Infinity Edge, he's looking for the late-game scaling. It really shows that they're applying the pressure now, and that's just called out to GameHoppers, and it's just fear. It's just fear. Everything they can do to try and apply that is Yeah, it's just one up on TSM's part. So right now it's not looking good for TSM. Baron's still up. We could see that any moment now because it's actually 24 minutes into the game. Usually when you start seeing the first couple of Baron attempts, GameHoppers aren't completely out of this yet. They're 8k behind. That's pretty significant. That's basically those two Triforces actually. But their team fights are still pretty strong. I'm surprised they haven't forced the team fights earlier, in fact, because earlier on it was their base stats would have been enough to kind of carry them through. I feel, but either way, they still have a chance in this. It's not completely over.
I have to feel if they're going to bring this one back, they're going to rely heavily on Morgana and Nocturne to make something happen. Morgana has on his Hourglass and Needlessly Large Rod. Nocturne's on 3 for 0, has a Wit's End, a Reel's Lantern, and a Heart of Gold as well. So if these two players, if Broto and also Hawkton can really chime together and make something special happen, it's going to allow Corky to find his way back in this game. It's quite strange to me, quite puzzling that after 25 minutes it still seems that he is going the Trinity Force route. He's only got Sheen and Phage though, so he's way behind Ezreal at this point.
Yeah, they want to make something happen basically. They just know that if they let it go to late game they're going to lose, so they have to win in mid game. So in that respect he just has to, but he's too far behind to really make use of it, so it's just he's going to lose either way basically, and it's just not a great position to be in. This could be the team fight which kind of decides the game.
Yeah, it could be a team fight that makes or breaks GameHoppers' opportunities. It doesn't seem like it's going to kick off just yet. Drake was attempted from TSM, but the mere presence of GameHoppers made them go back. I'm going to go ahead and retry once again. Same outcome seems possible. Hawkton's going to be chasing after Twisted Fate. Quickly turns around. It's this kind of dragon dance that we've seen time and time again in these kind of situations, these tense situations. TSM are quite a distance ahead. They don't want to give away and throw this opportunity. And on the same kind of flip of the coin for GameHoppers, they simply want to make a comeback. As you said, they want something to happen. They're trying to make something happen. They're trying to make their own opportunities become a reality and for them to flourish. But the problem here is that you've got Shyvana starting to push mid, Odd One's pushing mid, and as soon as GameHoppers start to rotate round, TSM are going to pick up the Dragon even. And now here comes Nocturne's Paranoia. He's going to be jumping in first. He's doing a lot of damage, but he's taking a lot as well. Dyrus seems to be the vocal point, and he is so tanky at this point with the Trinity Force. That focus wasn't the most smart thing I've ever seen in my life. Twisted Fate will go on to Sona, and now it looks like Irelia is going to be falling very quickly afterwards. Here comes X Special taking lots and lots of damage, but Count is now going to come back into the fray. And Twisted Fate's Destiny coming up. Going to be a kill from Corky onto Ezreal. Can he pick up the second kill? Answer, a resounding no. Dyrus is going to go 7-0. And now Twisted Fate trying his best to catch up with Morgana. It looks more likely that Dyrus will pick up this kill. In fact, Dyrus is getting such a pummeling from that tower that he very nearly fell, as did Twisted Fate. And the minions are giving vision for Morgana, so she could actually pick up this kill if she lands the Dark Binding. The only problem now is she actually will get the Tormented Soil even, will pick up the kill, but she's going to go down from Dyrus. So in that mini skirmish, it was a 1-4 exchange after all, but 17-9 overall. And I'm a bit confused as to why they went so hell for leather for Dyrus there. It seemed like they threw the kitchen sink at him, and he still didn't go down.
They just got torn up, basically. They initiated on the wrong person for a start, and then he was completely separated from the team. Yes, maybe you could get some damage onto him, but it's Jax. And when he's so far ahead, he's 8-0. Unless he got some kills from that team fight, but he's so strong right now, and he's so tanky. He's not like an average sort of squishy bruiser. He's Jax, and Jax is extremely tanky just from his ultimate alone, which gives extra magic resist. It was just an odd initiate. He had the right idea, Broto had the right idea. He was moving to the side so he could paranoia over to one of the squishies who would be behind the fight. But then he initiated and ignored everything he was trying to achieve and everything he built up, and then initiated on essentially who is the tank, which made very little sense. And then they lost because of it, and he simply, Dyrus turned around and just ripped into him. That's all you can say about it. It was ridiculous damage, and the scary thing is he can do that against any member of the team, even Broto, who's meant to be the most tanky on the team as well. It's scary. This Baron fight right now, I think, is their really last chance, because if they start the fight, one might be picked off here. I don't think so. They're too clustered right now. They're just looking for a pick.
Well, Dyrus is going really deep into the heart of the opposition. Did take quite a bit of damage, but he's so tanky at this point. He also has a Guardian's Angel Guardian Angel and Trinity Force after about 28 minutes is really, really scary, especially alongside a Bilgewater Cutlass as well. So they are just pushing back GameHoppers at the moment. I can't really see how GameHoppers can even engage in a straight-up 5v5 fight. It's going to have to be something a bit sneaky. Maybe allow TSM to take a lot of damage from Baron and jump in, steal Baron and mop up the pieces. But even then, you're talking about a lot of what-ifs and what-buts and such, and what are possibilities. And for them all to become a reality, it's gonna be so difficult for GameHoppers to pull off, especially as Nocturne is miles away from Baron as it stands. They are going to start off Baron, but then quickly come off it again. And it's very similar to what we saw in Dragon before, Pulse, where they were just kind of teetering around the edge. They weren't really engaging in. We do have Paranoia coming up though. True Shot Barrage goes right through all the squishies, taking down Corky to low health alongside Aurelia as well. Nice Monsoon used from Janna, pushing away the assailants from Chaos and allowing him to then pick up the pieces onto them. 2 kills go down, make that 3. Double kill from Chaos. And I think that's pretty much all she wrote for this game. With 3 players down and a Baron ripe for the taking. How can GameHoppers mount a comeback from this position?
Yeah, like Morgana got the ultimate down and landed on like 3-4 people, popped the Zonyas to try and scatter the roaches, but they just tanked through it and carried on going. And Reginald's going to pick that kill up onto Hawkdon pretty handily. Don't really need him there. Usually you get the AP carry to try and zone them out or pick up some kills because he doesn't usually do a lot of damage to the actual objective, though that the exceptions are being Cassiopeia and maybe Karthus because they have such strong single target damage. But definitely as a burst mage, it makes sense for the AP carry to kind of be roaming about, just zoning them away. But yeah, it's not looking good. Baron has now fallen. They are 13k behind, or maybe almost 14k. 921. They haven't actually lost that many towers, to come to think of it. They've lost the outer towers, but I feel that's going to change very shortly with TSM, with that Baron buff. They're going to push down on them like a ton of bricks, and it's not going to be pretty.
Yeah, I think the only thing that's still in GameHoppers' favour is that no inhibs have gone down just yet. So they do still have that to kind of fall back on. But as you say, with Baron, it's going to allow TSM to split push, especially with Twisted Fate. It's one of his specialities is split pushing. And they're going to be able to take down at least 2 or 3 of these towers, I would say. I'm expecting that to be the case. Unless something monumental happens from GameHoppers and they pull off the play of the century, TSM should be able to push down a lot of these towers that they previously weren't able to do so. But to be honest, I don't think previously they were too bothered about taking towers. They were more focused on Dragon and Baron fights, making sure they won them, and putting themselves in a position like this. And exactly, surprise, surprise, Twisted Fate's going to go push bottom, while the rest of his team tries to congregate around mid and in the jungle, maybe trying to trap Nocturne here. Twisted Fate's going to pick up the tower. And in the meantime, the rest of his team are going to start to push on to mid. This is exactly what you expect from a Twisted Fate Baron team.
Oh my god, Reginald's damage straight onto Broto. About 40%. And Kickers. That is insane burst. He's got a nice mini wave as well. And they'll be initiating mid. They're just all over them right now.
This is just a masterclass on what to do when you have Baron. I mean, already they've took 2 towers down in as many minutes. They're now going for that 3rd tower on the inhib. The team of GameHoppers can't really fully commit to chasing after Twisted Fate because it's going to allow the rest of his team to push the mid tower. And that's exactly what they're doing. Have a look at mid. There's Jackstar is just pummeling away on the tower. He's going to take that one down. And as they go and try and fill in the gaps onto the inhib, surprise, surprise, Twisted Fate's going to take the bot tower. And now they're going to pick up 2 inhibs. And that's exactly how you play League of Legends when you're ahead with Baron. Right there. It's like textbook material. And suddenly, we were saying before that the only thing that's working in GameHoppers' favour is they have no inhibs down. Suddenly, 2 minutes later, 2 of their inhibs are down. And it's soon to be 3.
Yeah, and that's when they were split. Now they're going to be able to kind of group up together, and actually, Reginald's going to carry on pushing bottom despite there being no inhib there. Corky's going to try and stop him, but this is going to be an easy top tower, probably an easy inhibitor turret as well, unless they choose to fight. They're just stalling for too long, and Hawkdon might be caught right here. I think he's going to be okay, but even so, they're just being pushed in. They've got 4 people top, 5 people top now, and Twisted Fate's going to push in one of those Nexus turrets. They're just being pincered, and here's the team fight.
Oh, that crescendo. That crescendo was painful on the eyes. I don't think that actually landed on anybody, and if it did, it was just perhaps Dyrus on his own. Look at Twisted Fate. Reggie's like, okay, I'm just going to push the Nexus towers He's took down one. This is going to be an engage, probably kicking off from TSM. Perhaps not. Dyrus was stunned from the dark finding. We are going to have an engage right now. Dyrus jumps back on towards Irelia. In the meantime, Broto going on to Twisted Fate. In amongst all that, Morgana gets a nice Soul Shackles and Zhonya's Hourglass, but really, it's too little too late. Not enough damage to take down anybody, as you are going to hear Dyrus going legendary 10-0-7. He has not died a single time in this game, and that's going to be the ace, and that's going to signify the end of game number 1. TSM take it very comfortably in the end.
Yeah, that was just very smooth. They got ahead and they just snowballed. Double explosion, classy. But yeah, it was just ridiculous. And TF did a great job of split pushing. Dyrus just pulled too far ahead and he was just dueling everyone. He was dueling like 3 people in that team fight and just didn't care. Ridiculous.
Well, I was expecting a bit more of a fight from GameHoppers, but you have to say that TSM were really sublime. You know, Reggie in mid was bossing the map with his Destiny ganks. Not a great deal the bot lane of GameHoppers could do in that situation. Corki and Sona were just completely pummeled every single time that Destiny went off, as you said before. So we're waiting for the invite for game number 2. While we do wait for that, we're going to cut to a very quick commercial break here, guys. But stay tuned, because soon game number 2 will be coming up between TSM and GameHoppers in our final match of this evening. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back just after these.